When most people evaluate information on the web, they read vertically, meaning that they scroll up and down the page looking for certain markers of quality. You definitely do want to look at the About page to see what an organization says about itself, but keep in mind that they can write whatever they want to on their About page. So a professional fact checker would read laterally, meaning they would get off of this page entirely to see what others have to say about the organization. So you can do that by opening up another tab, or if you just highlight the organization's name and right-click, you can go ahead and search Google for Pew Research Center. Of course, the website comes up first, but one of the first things that comes up also is the Wikipedia page. This is a great use of Wikipedia, this crowdsourced encyclopedia. And on this page, you will see pretty much the same things we've already seen in the About section on Pew. Nothing new really, but also no red flags. And a lot of times you will see red flags here. So it's always a good idea to look at the Wikipedia page for an organization. Now, that by itself probably isn't enough for you to tell if it's really credible. So another thing I would do is look at the news results to see if the organization shows up in the news, and sometimes you can tell what its reputation is this way. Now, the first page or so of results is going back again just to Pew's website, so you might have to click through a little bit. Here I see a result from Forbes, and it is citing a Pew Research report. Some of these I don't recognize. I'm going to keep going. I just want to do a quick skim of the results. So here PBS is citing Pew Research, Bloomberg, USA Today, the Washington Post, there's local papers, so on. So lots of local and national news outlets are citing Pew, which indicates to me that it's probably pretty trustworthy. Now, the last thing I would do is look at some of the media bias websites to see how they rate Pew. One of them that I like is called All Sides. So I can just Google that actually, and it will come right up. And they rate Pew as being right in the center. So very factual with little to no bias. So all of these things taken together, and I feel pretty good about using Pew as a source. I'll do one more. Later on in the Culture of Contempt, there's another website that's cited from the Brookings Institution. So we'll just Google that. Again, their page comes up, and the next thing is Wikipedia. Now, this Wikipedia entry gives you a lot more information and actually explains that Brookings is one of the nation's oldest think tanks, and that has won lots of awards. Think Tank of the Year from the University of Pennsylvania. The Economist describes it as America's most prestigious think tank. So there's a little bit about its reputation. And then here about its point of view. It describes itself as nonpartisan, but it looks like there have been people who have described it in different ways, as centrist, as liberal, or even right-wing. So there's not agreement here about Brookings. But there was an academic analysis of it that found that Brookings cited conservative politicians almost as much as liberal politicians. So it definitely doesn't lean one way or the other, at least in the extreme. So let's go back now, and you could look at Brookings in the news, and you would see that it is also cited by lots of news outlets. You could look at All Sides, and you would see that it puts it right in the center. And another site that I like is called Media Bias Fact Check. It's just another one of these sites that rates organizations. Let's see here. Sometimes media bias does not come up in the results. So actually, I'm just going to go to the website itself and then search for Brookings. And here it is. And so they rate Brookings on this spectrum of bias as left center. So not right in the center, but just left of center. They still think the factual reporting is very high. So based on this, there is maybe the presence of a little bit of bias, but that would not discredit this source in my view. What you're trying to avoid are things that are on the extreme. So don't think of bias as either it's there or it's not. Think of it as a spectrum. And if something is left center or right center, it's likely still very credible, something that you could use. Of course, you can make your own judgment about that. And then just avoid things that show up on either extreme. So with these little tools you can use to quickly vet an organization that you find on the web that you don't know. So just remember to read laterally rather than just staying on the page in order to find out what others have to say about the organization.